My 24 female boyfriend's 24 name is Zach, and his mother passed away when he was 11 years old. His father worked a lot, so Zach's older sister, Elise, 30, female, basically became the woman of the house for lack of a better term. She cooked all the meals, cleaned the house, drove Zach to school and other activities, etc. She was extremely parentified, and I do feel for her on that front. She went to a local college. Because of all this, Zach and Elise are very close. He has a lot of respect for her. Zach and I have dated for nearly a year. We are very different in terms of backgrounds. He is much more reserved than I am. Before me, he spent a lot of his weekends gaming or just hanging out with a small group of friends. I tend to go out. I work hard all week and want to enjoy the time I have off. Zach is a shy, somewhat nerdy guy, and I do think I've broken him out of his shell a little, pushing him to do things out of his comfort zone. Elise and their father have made several comments about him changing. She's very nice and cordial when we see each other, but she's made several comments about Zach not needing to change who he is. Sunday, Zach invited myself, some of his friends, his dad, sister, brother-in-law, and niece over to watch the game. At one point, vacations got brought up. I mentioned I was trying to convince him to go on a 2-day local cruise with me as he's never been on one. Zach reminded me he's not the biggest fan of boats. I pointed out he's never been on one and we could rent one to take out so he could get used to it. He was somewhat on the fence. Myself and one of his buddies were trying to help him see it's not so bad. Elise butted in and said if he doesn't want to go, then I'm sure you can find something else to do. I said I was pretty sure I could talk him into it. She asked why I would want to go if he really didn't want to. I said of course I would never try to force him to go, but it's just something to think about. She repeated that he doesn't like boats and that I should respect that. I rolled my eyes, not really understanding why she was so adamant on this, and said she needed to relax. She's not his mother, she shouldn't care this much about the situation. Elise was clearly upset by the comment but didn't say anything else. The subject got changed and I thought all was well. A little later, Zach asked for my help getting something out of his room. Once in there, he told me I was out of line for how I spoke to his sister. I said she was the one that was getting up in our business. Zach said that I kept pushing it and got upset when I said, well, clearly she and your dad didn't push you enough to try new things. He said I was being disrespectful and needed to apologize to Elise. I laughed and said no, she needs to butt out. Zach finally asked me to leave. I did, aggravated. I really thought my friends would be on my side, but they said I crossed a line. Am I an idiot? You're an idiot. You're saying I managed to break him out of his shell says a lot here. It seems like you're constantly pushing him to do things he wouldn't necessarily do otherwise, and I think this is not healthy. What's wrong with being shy and not wanting to do some things? Your way isn't the only correct way. And you did push him on this occasion too. And you were being disrespectful to his sister. You're an idiot. You did cross a line. You got told something against what you wanted to do and then went to double down on it. When you didn't get any leeway, you got an attitude. She's right though. Why go on a whole ass cruise if he doesn't like boats? Start smaller. This seems more about you than him for vacation's sake. Let me know in the comments if Zach is an idiot. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for sending my niece to live with her other uncle? My sister-in-law passed away 12 years ago and my brother passed away 4 years ago. They had a daughter who is 13 years old now. After my brother passed away, both me and my sister-in-law's brother tried to adopt my niece, but as my niece didn't have much of a relationship with her mom's family, I was obviously the better option, so I ended up adopting her. Recently, my niece has got this very annoying habit that whenever we have a disagreement, she says she would rather go and live with her other uncle. I know she doesn't mean it because 1, she barely knows her other uncle. 2, I have a high-paying job and I'm able to provide things that most people aren't able to provide, so she is too spoiled to be able to live with anyone else. About a week ago it happened again. She told me she wants to live with her other uncle. This time I told her to go pack a bag. She went to her room. An hour later I went to her room and asked her if she was ready. She said she didn't mean what she said and doesn't really want to go. I told her that she should go anyway. She'll stay for a week and then she can tell me if she wants to stay there or come back home. She insisted that she already knows where she wants to stay, but I told her to get in the car and drove her there. After a week I called and asked if she wanted to come home and she said yes, however she hasn't been talking to me. My family heard what happened and now everyone is mad at me and thinks I'm an idiot at it. I decided to make an edit and let you know how things are going. We decided to have a conversation about it. I asked her how they treated her and she told me while her uncle was nice, her aunt made her feel unwelcome and she didn't feel good about being there and she doesn't want to live with them and she thinks I was a jerk for sending her even after she apologized. I apologized and told her that even if she wanted to live with them, I would still bring her back home because I love her too much and can't live without her, so she is stuck with me. She has some conditions for forgiving me. For example, she continues to torture me by forcing me to binge watch Riverdale with her. And she wants a daddy-daughter day, and I'm guessing that I'm not going to like any of her plans based on the evil grin on her face, but I'll do whatever makes her happy. You're an idiot. As the kid who got moved around a lot between divorced parents who used to say stuff like this, I get that saying what she said is shitty, but the fact that you so easily passed her off to the next person broke her trust. You need to apologize and earn that back. Everyone sucks here. I'm torn here. On one hand, I can see how other people get upset because they aren't in your shoes. On the other hand, when my daughter kept threatening to live with her dad after we divorced, I finally wiped my tears and told her that if she really wanted to, then we would get schools switched and she could. That was the last time I ever heard that from her, and that was 2 years ago. She sees her dad 50 over 50, but I never had her actually go stay with him. That wasn't custody time. Let me know if it was justified for him to send his niece away. Now, for the next story. Am I an idiot for deceiving my wife into joining me for my drive to work? I, male 37, and my wife, a female 31, live in a suburban area. I commute to work in a nearby city every day and she stays at home. We have no children. My commute is generally about 2 hours. I can shorten this by 10 minutes, 20 minutes with some good timing and luck. But for the most part, it's a long commute. Now, what has often been a source of friction in my marriage is that 9 times out of 10, the moment I step in the door, my wife asks me to do something. She always has some miscellaneous chore that absolutely cannot wait. She wants me to take out the trash, make dinner, wash some dishes, or whatever else. I've told her time and time again that I need a bit of time to unwind from work, and then I'll happily do it. Last Thursday, after I asked her for time to relax, she said that I had 2 hours to relax after work. She insisted my commute home was plenty of time to listen to music and unwind. When I explained that driving in traffic was probably more nerve-wracking than work, she said I was just sitting on my butt. This Monday, I woke her up with me and said that I had a special surprise for her. She assumed I had taken the day off work and we were going somewhere special. She got dressed and we got in my car. I got to the freeway, where I told her that we were going to spend the next 2 hours sitting in traffic together, seeing as she considers that leisure. She immediately got upset at me for lying to her. We argued for about 20 minutes until she stopped responding. Then she started watching Netflix on her phone. Then she asked me to drop her off somewhere so she could Uber home. I did not. We got to my office building and she immediately jumped out of the car to find something to do. I went to work as usual, but after I finished she was nowhere to be seen and not answering texts. Finally I called her and she picked up the phone to tell me she had taken an Uber home in the afternoon, then hung up on me. Since I did this, she hasn't said more than a word or two to me at a time. She seems to be really upset, but did I take this too far? Everyone sucks here. You kidnapped her and left her 2 hours from home. That's horrific. But yay, you need some time to unwind after work and that is 100% reasonable. You shouldn't have done it like this, but you absolutely needed to make the point. Also, she can take out the trash. You're gone 12 or 13 damned hours. Edit. She's unemployed, no kids. Why isn't she making dinner or doing the dishes? You're an idiot, and have serious issues that you even have to ask. And more fricked up that you did what you did. That was the best way you thought of to try and make a point. The only thing it shows is how big of an idiot you are. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for not paying for my mom's surgery even though I have money for it? I am a 35-year-old female. I lost my father very early when I was 5 years old. A few months after his death, my mother married a guy named John. John already had 2 teenage boys and he didn't want to raise me because he never wanted to be a girl's father. My mother, like a good mother, abandoned me with my aunt and took my brother, 8 by the time, with her to live with her husband. John was a man with a lot of money and he always spoiled my mother and brother, but he never bothered to get me even a Christmas present. My mother didn't do anything for me either. She came to visit me once a month and didn't even call me at Christmas or New Year. I always called, but many times she didn't answer. My aunt was a woman who couldn't have children. Because of that, she and my uncle raised me as if I were their daughter, not missing anything for me. Even without much money, I accumulated some money from my job I had during high school, and I earned a small amount from my aunt, which was enough for me to pay for my college. At the time, I graduated in computer science and went to work in a good company earning a great salary. But 8 years ago, I received a much better job offer in a large company, one well known for having great hardware products. In that time, I accumulated a lot of money and helped my uncle and aunt renovate their house, and I always sent them a nice amount even if they told me to spend it on myself. I currently live alone in a great apartment with an estimated value in the millions. Recently, my mom called me on my Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of trips and fancy places I go. It's not too hard to find me. She asked if we could meet to talk and reevaluate our relationship to forget the past and move forward as mother and daughter. I have a soft heart, so I took it. I thought it would be an opportunity for us to talk and finally create the bond I always wanted. We made an appointment at a restaurant downtown and met there. When we got there, she hugged me, kissed me on the cheek and said she missed me. We talked about my life, and when I asked how hers was going, she started to talk about how bad she was. Apparently she divorced John and my brother didn't want to keep her as she is now poor. To make matters worse, she lives on a pension from John and has serious heart problems. After a while, she asked if I could pay for a surgery she needed. The surgery was quite expensive, quite a lot. I told her I wouldn't pay as I wouldn't feel good doing that. She yelled at me in the middle of the restaurant, said I was a terrible daughter and that I was letting her die even though I could pay for her surgery. I left there very embarrassed. When I told my aunt, she said it was my decision but remarked that I have plenty of money to pay and that it wouldn't affect me financially. I don't want to do this cause she never has been a mom to me, but I need to ask. Am I an idiot? Not an idiot. Today it's surgery, tomorrow it will be recovery, then rent, bills, lifestyle, vacations, then home care. And you will end up restricting your lifestyle for someone who threw you away so she could have the lifestyle she wanted. If she pops up again, tell her you are saving your money to help the people who raised you. You owe her nothing. Not an idiot. Your mother doesn't see you as a daughter but as an ATM. On the flip side, if it won't impact your finances, you could give her this option. You will pay for her surgery on the condition that she never contacts you again. Get it in writing with a lawyer and then you can be done with her. Am I an idiot for letting my brother call me dad and refusing to tell him the ugly truth? I was born when my parents were both 19, and my only other brother, let's call him Josh, was born when they were 42. They divorced shortly after Josh was introduced to the world. He was 4 months old at the time, and they both wanted nothing to do with the child. At the time, I was 23 and I was living alone with my then girlfriend who was 21, now my wife, and I'd done my best to convince at least one of them to take care of young Josh for his sake and the family's sake. But they refused adamantly and said that I should be taking custody of him instead. So I became the legal guardian of my brother and he's been living with us for the past 12 years and things have been going really smoothly for us. Josh, now almost 13, has been calling me dad and my wife mom and our 2 children, female 4, male 9, and his siblings, and he has absolutely no idea about his real parents. And to be honest, I let all of that slide. He has no idea that I'm really his blood brother and not his father, and I'm starting to feel guilty and a little weird. Some of my uncles and aunts come to visit occasionally and they are really disgusted at the fact he calls me dad and they are surprised I haven't told him the truth. They constantly message me, talk to me in private, and I cannot chat to them without this one particular topic rising up, badgering me to let him know already, but I refused. I discussed this with my wife and she thought it would be wrong to tell him the truth because none of my parents wanted to take care of him and I'm the only person in the world who gave him the father figure everyone deserves. I feel that he has the right to know what he is to me and what I truly am to him. But he's suffered enough already and I just want things to continue how it is. Reddit, am I an idiot? WEBTA if I let him know the truth. Update, about 70% of the comments are advising me to tell my son who I really am to him, and some are saying sooner than later. I've just got up to discuss this with my wife and now after a lot of hesitation, we've decided that it's best the truth comes from us and it has to come now. Right now, it's late for us, but we shall address this to him first thing this week, or even tomorrow. Thanks guys. Update, I went to my local therapist and told him about my situation and asked what to do. To keep it short, he said he's heard similar recounts from before and said it is best if I tell him as soon as possible for multiple reasons, and to make sure that my bio children are present. Multiple reasons. I asked a few of my closest friends and the majority said more or less the same thing. My wife and I decided to sit the kids down and burst the big bubble. I asked my brother Josh to come closer and I made sure I held him close and made him feel comfortable. He asked what's going on, but I started by telling us how much we cared and loved for him. Then told him everything about my parents. I put them in a bright light in hopes of a reunion, and who I am to him. Then quickly hugged him and my other 2 kids together and told him that I love all my children the same and nothing is going to change my love for him. He was shocked and asked if I was joking, but I was starting to cry a little at this point, so he knew I was serious. My bio children were very surprised too. He was in tears and asked me why I didn't tell him sooner. I didn't know what to say and said I was just trying to protect you. I'm sorry and I hope you can forgive me, but unfortunately and understandably, he left. He didn't talk to me as much, again, understandably so. I continuously offered him to go out to the park and play a bit of football. He loves that, and all his favorite things, but he just outright declined and even got a little angry sometimes for me even talking to him. I thought I messed up big time, until one day while my wife and 2 children were out shopping and we were alone. He came up to me and said, I know you're not my real father, but I want to let you know you're the best dad in the whole world. Sorry about that. I hugged him and things got pretty emotional. It would be a big lie to say my house is normal now, far from that. But things are slowly, ever so slowly, starting to brighten up. There's no longer anything to hide anymore and it feels like we are born again. Josh is a tough kid, and he handled this far better than I believed he would. I'll be looking into therapy for him to help him recover just in case it doesn't go well in the long run. I'll strive and continue to be a great dad to my kids, and a great dad to my brother, son. Thank you Reddit for pushing me towards this happy ending. Thank you for all the advice and judgments. Not an idiot. You are a shining example of how a dad is not necessarily a biological father, but a man who loves his kids with every fiber of his being. Kudos to you for taking that hard step and always being there for your son. I believe he'll learn even more about what it means to have a truly loving parent than he would have had you never told him. Wishing you and your family all the best. Not an idiot. Such a beautiful ending to this story. What a loving brother and father you are. I love you and your family for being so emotionally present with each other through this difficult situation. I'm so glad Josh came around once he had some time to process everything. Definitely made me cry happy tears. I love you. Would you have told him the truth? Let me know in the comments. This next story has some crazy parents and an even crazier boyfriend. Am I the idiot for imposing my culture even though I thought I was just being nice? Even though I, a female 23, am American, my parents are immigrants and therefore I have a different cultural upbringing than most. One thing that was hammered into my head from a young age was to always bring a small gift when visiting anyone's house. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends or that one person you kind of know but don't really like, bringing something is a must. My BF, male 28, and I have been dating for almost 4 years now, and since we both work from home he suggested we make dinner with his parents a weekly thing since we haven't been able to see each other much for obvious reasons. I love his parents, so obviously I agreed. Every week I made sure to bring something small to show my appreciation for them cooking for us, always using my own money, a small bottle of wine, their favorite dessert, some flowers, etc., and they always thanked me for it. This has been going on for a few months and absolutely didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until yesterday when my BF and I were preparing to head over. I'd gotten a cute vase of daffodils since luckily I'd found some in bloom and my BF's mom really loves them. But my BF suddenly got really mad and asked why I kept bringing stuff over every week like his parents were a charity case. Honestly, I got super confused and asked him what the problem was and that I've always done this with everyone including his friends since we met. That it was a cultural thing, but then he got even madder and told me to stop imposing my culture on everyone and it's weird since I'm white. At that point I didn't feel like going anywhere with him and just gave him the flowers and went for a walk while he drove over to dinner by himself. After he came home he still had the flowers which he gave to me and told me he was sorry, but his parents really were super annoyed with me constantly bringing stuff over like they can't take care of themselves. And later on I got a text from his dad asking me to not come over for dinner anymore. Now my BF's giving me the cold shoulder unless I give his parents a huge apology. But I really, truly don't feel like I'm in the wrong for trying to be nice to them. Am I an idiot? Quick edit. I didn't realize you could edit posts directly, but I'm in a hurry to convince him to let me go over to his parents' house. I did post a brief update in fact in my most recent comment. Update. I told my BF I was sick and tired of him dancing around the issue with his parents and I was going to go over to their house whether he liked it or not. At this point I think he realized that whatever he was doing had backfired, so he sat down all angry and told me he'd explain. I sat and he told me that he'd done something very spur of the moment and that he'd texted me from his dad's phone then blocked the number but begged me to listen. That he just needed to get his parents off me for a while and to not leave. Apparently his parents had started hinting at him about marriage since my BF and I talked a lot about it. I fully expected to marry him as I said in another comment, and was honestly expecting a proposal in late spring since that's when we met. 4 years of dating didn't bother me, but I was getting excited to settle down. However, my BF apparently realized that he absolutely didn't want to commit to anything and wanted to experiment and have fun since I wasn't being fun anymore. Honestly, that just made me cry since we were each other's firsts for everything and usually very good at communicating our needs. His grand plan was to get him mad at me so I would beg for forgiveness and then he'd only accept an open relationship as an answer. Absolutely brilliant plan, I know. He'd made up with his parents getting mad but didn't expect me to blow off dinner completely, and it's like hitting a jackpot. His words, not mine. He went over for dinner, hid the flowers and said we'd gotten into a huge fight but he was going to fix it but I needed space. After he confessed all this he said he was very sorry but really didn't want to miss out on new experiences when he was still young and what I consider an open relationship, but pretend ours was strained with his parents so they wouldn't get suspicious. And I left his ass right out the door and told him absolutely not and to leave me alone while I packed because I wanted to have some new experiences too. He never stopped begging me to stay but I left to sleep at a friend's. After calming down for a few days I cemented the breakup and finally, actually went over to his parents. My ex-BF's dad never even noticed the phone missing but still apologized and his mom was a mess. I did and still love them and will eat dinner there without him as often as I can. I won't lie that I'm sad about 4 years down the drain, but that's life. And if that was my ex's best possible plan then I dodged the bullet by a mile. Final update. A few quick answered questions. Yes, my BF's parents do share a phone. I don't find it particularly strange since they use Facebook, video chat friends, play Candy Crush etc. on their iPads and don't have much use for a phone. They find iPads easier to use and also go everywhere together. Very cute, I know. So if someone really does need to call them, the other is right there. Previously my BF had absolutely no problem whatsoever with me bringing gifts anywhere. Like I said in a comment, he'd helped me pick things out before and is usually great at communicating whenever he feels we need to talk about something, which is why I was so confused with him. He knows it's how I was raised and was respectful to every other aspect of my upbringing. His parents are not poor and raised him with good manners and etiquette. I saw a lot of other people comment on what I was bringing. And no, I wasn't bringing gigantic vases with wilted flowers or an entire cake or multiple bottles of the same type of wine every week. Whenever I did bring something edible, it was small and we'd usually consume it with dinner, and as for the flowers I'd usually just leave them in the plastic wrap they came with water. The vase was a rare thing that my BF's mom could have used for dozens of things since it was a clear glass. I also wanted to add that I'm so sorry the mods here had to deal with all the reminder me update spam. I quite literally got thousands of replies and follows and update messages, so I can't imagine how busy and stressful it was for you. People were still doing it after you told them not to. I'd go crazy trying to sort through and delete what's necessary. But you all did an amazing job. Thank you. Not an idiot. I'm so glad you laughed him out of there. 4 years, and that must have been hard in its own way, but you are going on to so much better. Who has an open relationship after 4 years together? So glad you're okay, Opus. Much love. Not an idiot. Without sounding weird, I've been checking and waiting for an update as I was concerned for your welfare. I'm so sorry you had to deal with such a massive muppet of a human, but I'm glad you're rid. Would you have dumped him too? Let me know in the comments. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for not wanting to hide that my mom is gay from my girlfriend's parents? I'm 17 and started going out with my girlfriend 7 months ago. We were already chatting before school went online, and I asked her out after. So her parents want to meet mine when it's safe to do that and have dinner at their house. I'm cool with that, and my moms are too. But my girlfriend told me that her parents don't know I have 2 moms, and she doesn't want them to because they're not raging homophobes, but they don't like that. She just says it will make them feel weird and uncomfortable, and asked if only one of my moms could go. I just don't see why I gotta lie. If we stayed together, obviously they would find out, and also that would mean asking my moms if one of them would not go. I have never been embarrassed about it or weird, so don't see why it even matters. My girlfriend has been pissed at me ever since, and she just tells me to do it so it's not uncomfortable for her parents. Even my friends are saying it's not a big deal, and it's not like I'll get grounded for asking my moms to do this. I'm caught in the middle here cause I don't want to lie about my moms or exclude one of them, but everyone is acting like I'm being an ass for not doing this thing. Update: so we broke up yesterday since it had already been days of us not talking. I listened to your comments and decided to ask how she would feel if I told her only one of her parents could go because my moms are uncomfortable around heterosexual couples. She basically laughed and said it's not the same thing because that's a normal couple. That kinda got me, and I asked what's not normal about my moms. Think that's when she saw she fricked up with what she said. She said she didn't mean it like that and just knows it would be awkward and weird because her parents don't like that. Then I asked her if she would feel like that too, and she didn't say anything. We talked for a while and she still wasn't getting how this would hurt my moms asking them to hide who they are. Then it got to where she admitted it would also be embarrassing for her parents to know I have 2 moms. And yeah, I wasn't gonna take that and told her we're done. Not gonna be someone who's embarrassed about my moms or doesn't want others to know. That was it. My friends haven't said anything to me yet, but think I'm just gonna block them out cause I don't wanna deal with their short run. I know I said in my comments I was thinking about asking my moms for advice, but since we're broke up, I'm not gonna tell them why. I only told my moms it wasn't working out with her, so we're done. They don't need to because I don't want them to feel it is their fault, and they really liked my girlfriend. This would hurt their feelings knowing she was feeling that way. It's not my first breakup, but it still really sucks and I'm feeling sad. It is what it is though. Thanks for everyone's help and for telling me about my own experiences. Not an idiot. Stands and claps as a parent. If my kid came to me and told me this, I would first feel hurt, but I'd quickly get over that and feel so damn proud that my kid stood up for himself, his beliefs, and his parents. So just know this Reddit mom is very proud of you. Not an idiot. You did the right thing. The best relationships are built on shared values. The more you can surround yourself with others who share them, as relationships or friendships, the happier and more supported you'll feel. I, a 30, female, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side, and started overly praising everything I do and sometimes even copying me. Like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple just like mine, and when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So, anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off work to go visit some places out of the country, tourism in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, texted, sent people to talk to me into letting her come, even threatened to call the police and make some complaint to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say fine. I will tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quiet. The day of the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and the first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off in the harshest way possible. He tried to say I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway and I should let it go and not mess the trip up for us. I told him he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore but he kept on berating me, then called my family to tell them that the trip was cancelled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy it. Did I really overreact? Update. I don't know where to begin. It's been an absolute nightmare recently, and I felt like I was losing my sanity. So for more details about my situation, I have to admit that my husband's mom favors him over all his siblings. This affected his relationship with them and me as well. He's never seen an issue with how differently his mom treats him. It bothered me and made me feel uncomfortable. The whole dynamic made me feel uncomfortable. Going low contact has never even been an option. Like he has to see her or call her every day. Most of his siblings don't talk to him and I 100% believe it's because of his mom's favoritism like I said. He does bear some blame for not seeing how wrong this is till this day. In many instances I found myself making excuses for his behavior, even in my posts. I did it spontaneously and I don't know why. But I guess it's because of how much I love him and because I really wanted to be able to work these types of things out without letting them affect our marriage. Regarding what happened on the trip, he tried to have a talk with me and most of what he said came from place of blame. Blame towards me. I just couldn't continue with this argument. I told him I needed space and that I would be going to stay with my sister for a while. He didn't take it well. He literally got up from the couch and opened the door telling me to go right then. In that moment and seeing how he was still not even anywhere near understanding what he had done just made things perfectly clear to me. I just had pictured years and years of my life being lived like that and I was like, no, I can't do it. Can't take any more of it, especially when he keeps focusing on being right every time. His mom can do no wrong. I'm always aggressive, crazy, jealous, pathetic, overreacting. All these people's opinions, advice and concerns were like a spark like the wake-up call I really needed. Though I wish that it didn't get this far, but what's done is done. Right now I'm staying with my sister. I brought my dog with me as well. He sent me his last message telling me that I'm the one choosing to end what we had together, but I believe it's the other way around. Especially with how he keeps making his mom the victim in this situation. It's become clear now that we keep going in circles with no end in reach and I'm just so exhausted and overwhelmed. I'm not mad at him and don't expect him to change, but at least I'm given options to decide what's best for me and my future, even if it's separation and divorce. A big thank you to those who reached out with resources that I feel very lucky to have come across. Just wanted to give you an update since many of you asked for it. Not an idiot. I'm sorry you are going through this, but I'm also so very proud of you. You are standing up for yourself, putting yourself first, looking into the future and making sure it will be what you want it to be. I wish you the best of luck. Give the doggo the biggest of hugs and lots of pets. Not an idiot. I am so proud of you. My mother-in-law almost caused my divorce after she tried convincing my husband that I was abusive to our kids. He hid this from me out of embarrassment. It wasn't handled correctly, but years of therapy have helped our relationship survive. He knows she's crazy at least. She has taken little ownership in her plot to end our marriage. I have nothing to do with her. You made the right choice. Would you have left her at the airport? Let me know in the comments. But now, buckle up because you won't want to miss the next story. Am I an idiot for refusing to sell the place I bought with stripper money? For several years I was a stripper. I have no shame about what I did, and only quit when I got a better job offer. In the time I worked as a stripper, I intentionally lived as cheaply as possible. A shitty little studio flat, living off ramen, wearing old clothes, because my coworkers all told me that they were able to buy their own places on their income, so long as they saved like crazy. Before I retired, I managed to outright buy myself a 3-bedroom flat. I rented out the other rooms for a while, but I got sick of having roommates. So now I have them up online for shorter stays, but not to rent. I met this guy about 18 months ago, and we've been together since. He knows about my employment history, and he said that he has no issue with it, though he did ask me to tell his family the white lie I occasionally use on my CV and stuff, which is that I was a waitress, which I kind of was TBF. A month ago we found out that I'm 2 months pregnant. He says this is great news, and we should move in together. I assumed he'd be moving into my place because he rents his far smaller 1-bedroom flat while I own mine, and I have room for a baby's room while he doesn't. Also, I really don't want to leave my flat. It's my flat, I love it. I could see myself living here for the rest of my life, and I don't want to lose the security of owning a flat and having to go back to paying rent or a mortgage each month. However, he then said that he didn't want to move into my place, and said I should sell it and we buy a place together. I said that I like my place. It means a lot to me that I was able to buy it, and it represents years of working my arse off, scrimping and saving. He then said that he understands all of that, but we should be living together by the time the baby comes and he didn't want to live in my flat. I asked him why not. It's a great flat. It's central to everything. It's spacious. It's got room for all his stuff. There's a daycare in the building, owned by another tenant, and a school 5-minute walk away. The list goes on. And he said that he didn't want to live in a flat that was bought with stripper money. That really pissed me off, and I told him no freaking way am I selling my flat and that he never had an issue with my stripper money paying for this flat before now. I said I wasn't giving up the security of owning a home for someone who tries to make me feel ashamed about something I don't feel ashamed of. He said that his point is if I sold the flat then we could get a new place with the money from the sale. I said wouldn't that still be stripper money? And he said that's different, and I asked how. He then said he was going back to his place because I can't talk to you when you're in this state. He's gone back to his flat now and he's texted me saying I'm overreacting, irrational, and I need to think of this realistically rather than emotionally. He says he wouldn't feel right raising a child in my flat knowing how I purchased it and selling. Moving is the best idea of all of us, not to mention the fact he isn't on the deed because it's my place and it would never feel like our place because of this. I feel I might be the arse because I get why he might feel like it's just my place, and I feel I'm being too rigid in a time we need to work together. Plus I spoke to my sister and she sided with him, so 2 out of 3 people think I'm in the wrong here. Am I an idiot? Update: on the off chance anyone sees this, I dumped him. There was a whole conversation, and during the conversation he said he didn't want to be a parent if I wasn't willing to do everything he wanted, including sharing a house, deed, plus staying together. Also, at the start of the conversation I said what a few people suggested, which was that I'd be willing to sell and split the house with him, provided he paid 50%, and he got very angry, very quickly. He also said a few other things, so IDK how it's all going to pan out just yet, but it looks like I'm going to be a single mother. Update: because a lot of people asked for one. First off, I dumped him. He initially said that he doesn't want to be a parent if we're not a couple, but earlier this week he told me he wants majority custody, so not only does he not have to pay child support, but if he gets majority then I end up paying him. He actually said that was his reasoning. He also runs his own startup, and admitted the startup is basically done for, and he was hoping that when I sold my place I could also put a cash injection into his business with the money. So basically this was all about money for him, and I have extensive documentation of all of this. There's going to be a legal case, but I've gotten legal advice, and it looks like I'll be able to get sole custody, which is what I intend to go for. In the last couple weeks, my sister has doubled down and is trying to get me to fix things with my ex because a baby should have a complete family, so I've not been involving her in my pregnancy, which she is furious about. She also told our parents, which I am furious about, so we're not speaking right now. I also want to say thank you to everyone who commented on my first post. When I first posted, between my boyfriend and my sister, I was genuinely convinced I was in the wrong. So to have such an overwhelmingly supportive response really helped me realize that I shouldn't doubt myself so much. And with that realization, plus everything going on right now, I've decided to go to therapy, which I will be starting next week. All in all, the outcome of this is probably going to be me being a single mother in the flat I own. And honestly, pretty decent outcome. Not an idiot. I have to call crap. The baby needs a complete family. A kid can have a mom and dad and still have a dysfunctional family. Single parent, 2 parent, parents of the same sex, it doesn't matter. Your ex sounds controlling and a leech. All the reasons he wants to be together or be a father are more for his benefit. Good luck to you, Opus, and your baby. Not an idiot. You dropped a gold digger and your life will be much better for it. The kid needs a complete family thing is a crap guilt trip attempt when the other adult is complete garbage. Growing up, I was much better off after my parents divorced. It looks like you got legal advice and you're all set to move forward. Now, for the last story. Am I an idiot for throwing my kids' clothes onto the floor when they don't fold their clothes neatly? So I've always been kind of a neat freak mom the entire time my kids have been alive. I always expect their rooms to be clean, and I check their drawers, closets, storage bins to make sure they don't just shove stuff in there to make the room appear clean. The kids, 16, 13, 9, and 6, are all responsible for putting away their laundry, and my oldest 2 are responsible for folding their own clothes, which bothers me because my 13-year-old folds his clothes in a way that bothers me. He rolls them up instead of properly folding them. Ever since the kids have been home and have more free time, I am more strict about the way they put away their clothes. I expect their clothes to be folded a certain way and organized in a certain way in their drawers. I read from a mommy blogger a few years ago that when her kids' drawers weren't organized, she would make a mess for them to organize the right way. I considered it for a few years, but now that the kids are old enough, I think it's the way to go for us. I haven't had to do this until yesterday. I walked into my 16-year-old's room while she was FaceTiming her boyfriend and saw her basket of laundry that needed to be folded, and out of curiosity, opened her drawers and saw she had shoved her clothes in there. I started making a mess and she screamed, "Mom, why?" And I told her she knew why. After that I walked out of her room. She explained to her boyfriend what I did and he says, "Your mom's freaking crazy, bruh," and I peek my head into her room, give her a look, and she ends the call with him and breaks down crying. I told my husband what happened. He told me, "I knew you said you were gonna do that, but I didn't know you would actually follow through." This morning I woke up to a note on my daughter's door saying until mom can get mental help, I'm staying with Aunt, my sister's name. I texted her, no response. I tried contacting my sister, who said she has no plans to return until I get mental help and stop being such a controlling bitch. My husband, sister, and mom are all against me in this, which hurts. I don't think it harmed my daughter, it benefits her and helps her stay organized. Update. Almost 2 months ago I made a post here about me throwing my daughter's clothes onto the drawer when they weren't folded neatly. While that post really blew up, people on Twitter also chimed in. While the night I made the post, I was still in serious denial. I replied to some comments and my denial was perfectly clear for everyone to see. The day after, I read some more comments and messages I received from everyone. I resorted to the guest room and cried for hours. I read some people tell me that their moms were similar to me and they no longer have relationships with them. That was truly my worst fear. I seriously love my kids more than anything on this planet, even if my actions don't always show it. I booked a virtual appointment with a psychologist who diagnosed me with OCD and let me know she would help me. I have since had about 8 sessions with her and she has been a big help. Of course, I still have a long way to go, but I have been noticing some improvements already. As for my daughter, she stayed at my sister's house and came home a few days later after I told her that there would be major improvements made in my behavior. I sat all the kids down and told them that I have the resources to not be such an overbearing idiot to them anymore. One thing I do want to address is the fact that I was usually controlling with my kids, but the incident I wrote about was the one that sent both me and my daughter over the edge. Me and her are on much better terms. I want to thank Reddit for waking me the hell up to become a better mom and wife. I also want to apologize to anyone who I brought back bad memories to. I want to have relationships with my children until we all grow old, and I know so many of you guys don't have that, which breaks my heart, but also hearing your stories gave me a big change of heart and are helping me fix my relationships and become a better person. Not an idiot. Hey, good for you for taking the initiative and changing for the better. I hope your kids admire the changes you're making to be a better parent to them. OCD is super hard without help to manage, so congrats. Not an idiot. My mom was like this when I was a kid. We now no longer speak due to her overbearing, controlling behavior and for many other reasons that she refused to get help for and still to this day won't. I wish my mom had taken it upon herself to recognize how much damage she was doing and make moves to amend it in the way you have, Opus, as we may still have a relationship if she had.